Morning. It is Tuesday, December 17th at 8:30 a.m. It is my pleasure to call to order the Finance and Physical Resources Committee. I'd like to welcome fellow commissioners, staff, public, guests we have in the audience. Thank you so much for taking your time this morning to come to our meeting. With that, I'd like to open up public comment. Is there any public that would like to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment. That will bring us to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any items have to be pulled? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 3 from Circuit Court. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the board to accept and appropriate $30,000 from the State Court Administrative Office to the 2019-20 Special Projects Fund for a 17th Circuit Court Juvenile Mental Health Court grant, and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreement and approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. On March 9, 2017, the Board of Commissioners accepted and appropriated a mental health court planning grant awarded by SCAO. Mental health court is a specialized docket for certain defendants with mental illness, which establishes a problem-solving model for traditional criminal court processing. Circuit Court submitted a $30,000 funding request to implement a juvenile mental health court for the county. Grant dollars will be utilized between January 2020 and May 2020 and used to contract the following services: program coordination, evaluation of need, identification of best practices, and implementation grant application. Program goals include a reduction in truancy, recidivism, and a corresponding reduction in juvenile detention center bed days. The term of the grant is October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. It is expected that the grant will be renewable.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Good morning, Chair. Probably, I'd imagine you might be the best one to answer. Thank you, sir. $30,000, better than the proverbial stick in the eye. However, how much effort is really behind all this? And then the second part of the question is where this is expected it will be renewed. I mean, is it more than expected? And, there's, pilots come and go, and is this better than a flash in the pan? Enough metaphors.
The second question you asked, I think it is better than a flash in the pan. This has been widely supported by both parties in Lansing and the Supreme Court. They're really moving towards this type of philosophy with court systems and more treatment involved in the adult system. The $30,000 is low. Basically, what SCAO does, you have to do a planning grant before you do a full implementation grant. So this would be the planning grant. I think in the juvenile system, we're just better suited to jump right in and do an implementation grant, but that was the requirement. So basically, we're going to use this money to just, again, make sure we're identifying the right kids and getting the best practices in place, so that I'm anticipating October 1, we'll be ready to go with, with some better services for the kids that fall under that category that we see.
Thank you. Hey, anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 4 from Fiscal Services. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the Board of Commissioners to appropriate an additional $1.4 million in 911 surcharge revenues to the 2019 Central Dispatch Collection Fund budget. The county levies a surcharge on telecommunication devices for 911 dispatch services, which is collected by telecommunications carriers. Kent County voters approved increasing the 911 surcharge fee from 45 cents per line to $1.15 per line beginning in July 1, 2017. The Administrator's Office completed a preliminary comparative analysis of 911 surcharge revenues received in 2016, 17, 18, and 19, which uncovered anomalies in revenues from the Sprint Communications Company and its subsidiaries post-charge increase Fiscal Services conducted an in-depth review of the surcharges charged and remitted by Sprint and documented the amount of the underpayment. After being contacted, Sprint admitted to a customer billing error and has remitted the requested arrearage and updated its billing process to correct the amount. An additional appropriation of $1.4 million is required to provide adequate budget to allow distribution to the Kent County Dispatch Authority.
Is there a motion to approve?
Support.
Okay, we have moved by Commissioner Morgan. We have support from Commissioner Voorhees. Is there questions, comments, and discussion? We'll start with Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me turn my mic on. Everybody hear me? Yeah, this is kind of like a holy cow. This is about 3 times more than we were expecting at the Dispatch Authority. And in here, it talks about anomalies, and I was just wondering if I could ask, what were those anomalies, and how did we get to where we're at with this? I just think this is huge, because we were expecting about $500,000, and I would like Mr. Duarte to speak to this, please.
Jennifer Hedrick is also here from the Administrator's Office in case there's additional information.
Great.
Good morning, Commissioners. When we took it downstairs and started looking at this, we noticed a huge fall off in subscribers. Pre-July 1, 2017, when the rate increased, it went from like a third. If there were 300,000 subscribers before, there was 100,000 afterwards. We noticed that happened, and we called Sprint and said, look, there's a big fall off. We know you're not having that kind of decline in business. So what happens is as they explain it was 2 departments involved doing different things. On the accounts receivable side, even though they were told, or allegedly told, that the fee went to $1.15, they were charging $45. So people getting the bill were paying 45 cents. The tax department, when it came time to distribute it, said the common practice in that business is to take the fee and divide it back into the amount of money collected to arrive at the number of subscribers. So they were dividing it by $1.15, which greatly reduced the subscribers. So when we talked with them, they came back with a revised subscriber list from actual numbers that they have and said, no, this is the subscribers. So we multiplied that times $1.15 and say, this is what you owe us, $1.5 million. And I said, okay, they did one check. They said there was one that had a little problem. They said, that one is overstated by 15,000. I said, great, $1.5 million. We'll work around that. We sent back to them a request to be paid, an affidavit swearing that they were giving us the right count now, that we were relying on that.
Wow.
I also said, since we didn't have that money to invest, would they please waive their 2% fee that they're entitled to? They did, so we got paid for full. And after we did that, got that $1.5 million, we did a reasonableness test. If you use the ratio that's set up, about 0.65 into old collections would give you an estimate what new collections would be when you move from 45 to $1.15. For Sprint now, it looks like we're almost dead on with that $1.5 million. So from a reasonableness perspective, I think we're okay.
We'll continue, Commissioner Morgan.
Just one follow-up, Madam
ahead.
Chair. I just appreciate the due diligence. There was a lot of pressure coming to settle for that $500,000 and move on, and I just appreciate your work. Does this make us whole with Sprint now, as far as the fee charge?
As far as we are with Sprint, we're whole. We are going to continue to take a look at some of the other subscribers to see if there's anything else out there. However, I don't anticipate we'll see anything of this magnitude.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just had a few quick clarifying questions. First, just looking at the amount of money, should we expect, since this is showing past mistakes, I'm guessing we should also expect an uptick in new revenue every year. Is that uptick going to be essential? Do we know what we can expect from that increased annual revenue from Sprint? Is it going to be, is it as simple as just taking this number and dividing it by 4? Or is it a little more complex at that? Is it based on that affidavit that you mentioned? Can we anticipate what that increase in revenue is going to be going forward?
There would be more in line with what you're seeing right now. In other
Okay.
words, they just underpaid us.
Oh.
We got paid the 45 cents all along. This is the difference between that and the 45 cents. And so that level should stay in that range
Got that 1.4 million every year.
on top of what we already collected.
Thank you. And if I may
Go
have
ahead.
a few follow-up questions. In terms of looking at the, we're sending this over to the dispatch fund as we should. If I'm seeing, since this is towards the end of the year, is it the intent to put this into its fund balance or to use it to transfer it out to pay for additional debt service? Or what is the intended use of this increase in revenue for 2019?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Yes.
Yeah, he was asking what will they do?
That 1.4 million goes right over to the dispatch authority.
Yes, it was more, because I was looking at the budget for 2019 and 2020. Typically, the money that's left over goes into the debt service. Is that the intended use within the fund, or is it going into its fund balance, or just the operations?
Two things. One, debt service comes off the top. When the money comes in from the various, from the state and from the various providers, first thing we do is take off the amount of money we need for debt service, okay? The remaining money is sent to the dispatch authority, who then keeps a portion and also allocates a portion to Grand Rapids and a portion to Kent County, and comes back, and it's our payment from now.
And so my final follow-up then, just because, again, this is more of a, I know we went over this during the work session, it's just helpful for me to understand this more. Since we're nearing the end of 2019, since we're nearing the end of 2019, are we expecting this money, after it's distributed, to get spent within this calendar year? Or will it end up as lapse funding within the dispatch fund and just end up in their fund balance?
I assume they'll treat it like any other revenue they get. I mean, they have a formula for splitting it, and they keep a portion, okay?
Okay.